The Emirati culture is very deep and very rich with lots of stories, histories, lots of elements, and I call them treasures usually, that haven't been tapped much in terms of design or contemporary design. Talli is part of our tradition, and it's something that differentiates us from other nations. It's mainly particularly for tailoring, and it was, and still, it's mainly related to women of the UAE, because most of these parts that embroidered by Talli is used for kind of decorating the woman's dress. Usually ladies in the past, or even today, to weave a Talli, or like the original Talli, that's a handmade one, they usually sit on the floor. There is a kind of a little stand with a capsule shape of a cushion that stays on top of it, and then they start to cross and weave the threads together to create certain patterns, and then taking the whole roll and start designing or putting it up on the cloth itself. I think it's my fascination about Talli itself as an embroidery, how people use it in the past, how we are using it today as designers. There was this whole world around me that I wanted to tackle, to kind of tap into, and then use it in a new way. The Talli embroidery, it's actually used in different parts of the clothes, so it's mainly on the chest, where it decorate that part, the top part of the dress, and the cuffs for the hands, and even for the pants they used to wear in the past, where it's the end part of it. So those shapes were three shapes that I really got inspired with, in terms of how they are not just a normal rectangle or triangle. They were abnormal shapes that I could maybe look at using them as tapestries, or let's say as rugs. Typing at the same time, when I did my research about them, there was that part of the research where I read about typing getting influenced from global trends in art, design, and fashion. So here we go. I found this particular line which is inspired by global trends in fashion. And knowing, not being fashion designers or a fashion trendsetter, I would say, but knowing about the industry, I have seen lots of brands, global brands, internationally, using embroideries and cultural patterns in their new collections. And this is where I start to drew the connection and join the dots. My fascination about Talli, and then the Talli itself as embroidery, those particular shapes, and how if we just expand those shapes and enlarge them in a size of a rug. Typing being a carpet industry leader, and then having this particular mission or design philosophy, why don't I join both? So this is where the Talli collection came to life. It wasn't only the shapes of the Talli itself, but then we went closer to the embroidery details to kind of knowing more how we can, let's say, replicate those, but in a carpet weaving than embroidery weaving. It's kind of like vanishing or kind of dying craft, and I just feel like as a designer, I have, maybe personally I got this as a mission on me, that to use it in my new work, in my contemporary work, to keep it alive. Even if I can't make the whole embroidery or the whole craft survive, at least the story of it can survive as well. So I think it was all about that fascination about the embroidery itself, and then knowing about it that it might not exist in the future, and then how to make it surviving more. So as a designer, I think it's a mission on me as well to do that.